Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Bootlick in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Today's gangsta is yesterday's bootlick. Now, some will wonder what I'm saying when I say today's gangsta is yesterday's bootlick. However, when you take a look at many of your thugs and gangsters, they basically were black bootlicks before they ever hit the streets. Now, when it comes down to many of your thugs and gangsters, they made a compromise with white supremacy in their heads before they ever went out here and hit the streets and declared themselves a member of whatever gang they said that they're a part of. Now, many of these so-called gangsters basically are nothing more than part of the irregular forces of white supremacy, and they're part of the irregular forces of white supremacy because they go out here and are the black faces that go out here and actively do the dirty work of the white supremacists so that they don't have to go out here and actively soil their hands the way they used to do during Jim Crow. Now, during Jim Crow, the white supremacists went out here and didn't have any sort of people to go out here and do their dirty work and participate in their active terrorism of black people. So what they would do is go out here and participate in their own terrorism, such as participating in the lynchings of black people, the burning down of black people's homes and businesses, and even going out and actively terrorizing and destroying black towns like Black Wall Street and other towns like Rosewood. These irregular forces of white supremacy would go out here and do the dirty work. However, as time has gone on, they have been identified as a clear threat. And since they were identified as a clear threat, people were able to know what they were and would be able to defend themselves from that threat. And since people would be able to identify themselves from that threat, what the white supremacist has done is go out here and find individuals in the black community who they can go out here and use. And this was done back in the 1960s and 1970s when individuals like this were sent into organizations like the Black Panthers to undermine their efforts to empower black people. And as these individuals, who in some cases are speculated to be CIA agents, were sent into black communities, these individuals basically got into the ears of a lot of, again, unsuspecting black people, and those black people began looking to gain favor with white power, started to go out here and make compromises in their heads to gain white acceptance, and gain white acceptance by becoming a part of these organizations and be able to control the narrative of the black community and control the culture of the black community by forming these gangs. And again, the whole point of these organizations is about maintaining white power and using black faces to go out here and maintain white power in black communities. And that's why I say that today's gangsta is yesterday's bootlick, and what yesterday's bootlick wants to do is again go out here and be able to gain white favor with white power by going out here and being a part of the irregular forces of white supremacy, part of the same irregular forces of white supremacy, such as the Ku Klux Klan, such as many of these race soldiers and many of these other suburban commandos. That's what today's gangsta wants to do, because today's gangsta is yet another part of those irregular forces of white supremacy that can go out here and do the dirty work that the enforcement arm of white supremacy cannot do, because when it comes down to the enforcement arm of white supremacy, again, that gang basically wears a uniform that makes them easily identifiable. However, these individuals can go out here and again be the mercenaries that do the dirty work of the white supremacist. And sadly, in many cases, many of these individuals are so programmed with the ideals of white supremacy, they can't see the subtle politics transpiring around them. And since they can't see the subtle politics transpiring around them, they cannot see how they are basically pawns, because many of these people, again, they get their ideas because they've been coerced and bullied into it. They've been coerced and bullied into believing that if they don't join these organizations, they will be having to deal with repercussions from these individuals, and they look to fit themselves into that whole group. And as they're fitting themselves into that whole group, what they don't see is the game of chess that white supremacy is playing with their lives. And the game that the white supremacist is playing with their lives is again programming them to believe that they are being so-called real, when in reality what they're doing is getting that person to sacrifice their liberty and sacrifice their freedom in order to gain acceptance from black people who are basically looking to fit them into a black box that's acceptable to white people. And again, while you're sitting there being the gangsta, what you don't see is that the people in charge are basically another group of black bootlicks, a group of black bootlicks who tell you that you need to be real, when in actuality all of them are following a reality created by the white supremacist, a reality created by the white supremacist that is designed to basically make you oppress yourself. That's what the gangsta basically is. He's a self-oppressing bootlick, a self-oppressing bootlick who goes out here and oppresses his own people, has them following ideals that the white supremacists created, ideals the white supremacists created that fit all of the caricatures that the white supremacists created in the days of slavery regarding black people, and has black people going out here following in the footsteps of a ragdoll dance, completely entranced, believing that they need to participate in these behaviors in order to fit in. But what they don't see is that how they're fitting into a black box that is acceptable to white supremacy, a box that is acceptable to white supremacy, where they're looking for the white supremacists for their daily bread, and many at the top are basically looking to the same white supremacist for a job. And they're looking to the white supremacist for a job because they want to go out here and be like the overseer and again see over the black community. And as they're seeing over the black community, you never see any of these so-called thugs and gangsters ever looking to challenge any form of white power. I mean, if you look at many of these gangster rappers, like your Ice Cubes, your Dr. Dre's, your Snoop Dogg's, many of these guys, again, you never see them challenging white power. No, they'll sit there and talk about F the police, but never talk about participating in things as related to getting any sort of legislation passed as related to dealing with issues like police brutality or any sort of issue. No, if you look at Ice Cube's contract with Black America, the guy who said F the police has nothing in his so-called contract as related to police reform. If you look at many of these so-called gangster rappers and other individuals, again, you never, I'll repeat it once more, ever see them challenging white power. They'll get in the face of a black man with a gun, but they won't get in the face of a white man with one. And that really shows you where they know where their limitations are, and that's what shows you how these folks ain't real. No, they're just a bunch of bootlicks, and the bootlicks' job is to go out here and again look to oppress their own people. And as they look to oppress their own people, they're looking to gain favor with white supremacy, not white people. I will say white supremacy, because white supremacy is the institution that again that created the whole gangster culture White supremacy created the gangster culture because what they wanted to do was prevent black people from empowering themselves. They created the gangster culture because what they wanted to do was be able to again undermine the work of people like the Black Panthers, and that's why your gangster is a bootlick looking to gain the favor of white supremacy while oppressing their own people, and that's what makes them no different than the drug dealer, who again is another part of the irregular forces of white supremacy. Again, these individuals, what they want to do is keep black people from being their best and actualizing their potential by terrorizing black people and eliminating black competition. They want to eliminate black competition in places like academia, in places like business, and in places like the arts and literature because they don't want black people to have influence over other black people. No, they want to keep black people in the dark, and this is why again yesterday's gangsta is today is yesterday's bootlick. I mean today's gangsta is yesterday's bootlick, and a lot of people won't see these folks as the bootlicks that they are. No, they will look at the educated guy who is the bootlick. And these guys like your Jason Whitlocks and your Stephen A. Smiths, again, they are the obvious bootlicks, but many won't look at the bootlicks in their own neighborhoods because they can't see the subtle politics transpiring around them. And since they can't see the subtle politics transpiring around them, they can't see how today's gangsta was yesterday's bootlick, and they had sold out the black community before any of these other bootlicks came out because they were the ones who would make the compromises with the drug game. They would be the ones selling the poison in your community. They would be the ones recruiting your kids out of schools, telling them that going to school is acting white, but being a part of these gangs is so-called real. They would be the ones having your kids on a bad road. Again, they are the bootlicks in your community. And again, these same people will terrorize other black people and oppress other black people, being the overseers over the black community. But they won't, again, if you look at these people and a white person rolls up, many of these same folks will start quivering in their boots because they know if they challenge white power, there's a consequence for challenging white power, but there's no consequence for challenging black people because many black people, again, haven't woken up to take their power. And since they haven't woken up to take their power, what happens is you've got generation after generation of black people oppressing themselves again as these bootlicks again go out here, and again they're going out here making their money and again looking for jobs with white supremacy, not white people, because white supremacy is the institution that again is the one they're making the compromise with. They're making the compromise with white supremacy, and what they want to do is eliminate black competition, and they want to eliminate black people from being able to take our own power to be able to have liberty over our own lives and make choices regarding ourselves. What they want to do is keep black people in not just a physical ghetto, but a psychological ghetto, and keep black people boxed in, under their oppression, and have everybody basically fitting into this one box, going out here being the stereotypes that the white supremacist wants to see. Because in order to make the white supremacist world smooth, what he needs to see are black people at the bottom of the world. And he goes out here and has these crabs in a barrel, basically at the top of the barrel to keep anybody else from coming up. What they want to do is make sure that all of the black people in the black community are in a place where they're either, again, completely programmed to become a part of those irregular forces of white supremacy, or be so broken and downtrodden that they basically give up on life and medicate themselves with drugs and alcohol. And again, that ensures that there's no competition for the white supremacists to ever have to deal with, because these overseers will keep all the slaves in line. these overseers who dress up in their colors, again, will keep all the slaves in line. And again, these oppressors were yesterday's bootlick because they were the ones out here licking the boots of the white supremacist before he even came out the door, and were willing to compromise and be whatever the white supremacists wanted without ever thinking about who you want to be or what you aspire to be. That's the freedom that the bootlick wants to take away from you. The bootlick wants to take that freedom away from every young black person and young black child. They want to take away your freedom of choice. And again, take away your freedom of choice to be yourself. Take away your freedom of choice to decide whatever life you want to live. They want to keep you in, again, not only a physical ghetto, but a psychological ghetto. And they want to keep you in a ghetto where you, again, basically don't try to do anything for yourself. You don't try to go to school. You don't try to start a business. You don't try to do anything in your life. And they'll go out here and oppress you. But that same guy, when an Arab or Korean or an Indian comes into the community, he ain't got a word to say to that person who's opening up businesses in his community. And again, that shows you how this spellbound individual, again, looks to do the dirty work of the white supremacist. He doesn't want to keep money in your community that will empower you. No, but he'll let other people come in and take money out of your community. The same way he won't bust a grape when a white person rolls up in his community. No, these so-called thugs and gangsters, again, be tap dancing when that white man roll up. I mean, it could be the most nebbish, nerdish white guy or the most big fat white female. These people will be tap dancing when those white people come up. They'll be sitting there with their sagging pants, got a whole lot of profanity and ready to get in the face of a black man or a black woman. But when a white person or even a non-black person roll up, these are the same ones who ain't got no smoke for nobody in as related to their businesses, and will patronize their businesses, and again, have no problem doing this. But if a black person opens a business, they're sitting up there wanting to do a shakedown or do protection rackets or whatever type of crime. Again, they only got smoke for other black people, but got nothing for a white person. And again, this is why they are bootlicks. Again, bootlicks as a part of the irregular forces of white supremacy, part of that irregular force that, again, people aren't paying attention to. But what I want people to understand is that your gangster was yesterday's bootlick. Yesterday's bootlick, no different than the other black bootlicks out here. And we need to understand what bootlicks are. Again, bootlicks, again, they're all looking to get their daily bread from white power and white supremacy. Again, not white people, but white supremacy, the institution of white supremacy. And they want to be a part of that pyramid and believe that they can climb up that ladder, similar to your boule bootlick. The boule bootlick is looking to climb that ladder, and the gangsta and the thug is looking to climb the same ladder of white supremacy. They're looking to climb that ladder, looking to gain those brownie points by saying, I'll throw black people under the bus, and I'll do it better than the Ivy League bootlick. The Ivy League bootlick, yes, he'll throw black people under the bus through intellectualism, but this gangster wants to say he has a stack of bodies no different than members of the Ku Klux Klan, no different than many of the white supremacist institutions. I mean, they may wear different colors, but they all wear the same type of hood to try to hide their anonymity, and again, are looking to kowtow to white power and throw black people under the bus. And again, black folks, we have to start learning to if we want to empower ourselves, we've got to understand who is friend or foe. And again, we have a lot of foes as related to the black community in the black community. And we have to understand not everybody who is out here talking about keeping it real is living in reality, because many of these people have been, again, spellbound and brainwashed to believe that the white supremacist ideals of reality are the real world. But those ideals of reality are designed, again, to basically set black people up for failure, because the same gangsters who were yesterday's bootlick, are nothing more than tools that the white supremacist goes out here and breaks once they finish with them. Once they finish with a tool, white supremacy always breaks a tool. And after they go out here and destroy our best and brightest brothers and sisters, what white supremacy does with these bootlicks is go out here and arrest them, lock them up, and throw them in prison. And the black community never gets that chance to grow, where we can take that $3.3 trillion of our own money and spend it on ourselves, go out here and be able to get tangibles for our vote with a black agenda, because we're running around living in fear because of white supremacy bringing in these bootlicks to go do the dirty work that the white supremacist can't do himself, because he would be called out for doing this dirty work. And again, this is what many black people can't see, because a lot of black folks are spellbound, and others can't see the subtle politics transpiring around them, and can't see the chess game going on as related to, again, keeping black people from having power. All of this is all done, and again, many black people don't really see the big picture, and since they can't see the big picture regarding white supremacy, they don't see how, again, today's gangster was yesterday's bootlick, and how yesterday's bootlick is, again, all about compromising with white supremacy in order to, again, believe that they are going to have power over a neighborhood, but that power is nothing, because they were already enslaved when they went out here and made the decision to make the compromise with white supremacy. Now, if you want to learn more about the spellbound mindset and how many black people try to fit themselves into these black boxes that make them acceptable to white people, and how this leads to our own self-oppression, you can pick up my novel Spellbound on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Spellbound at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking concepts like the bootlick to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.